All right, so we're in the car. I think he loses the job, and he has a check spent. Maybe it wasn't $1 million. Anyway, he's giving me a check. I think it was $60,000, $100,000, and so we're waiting to do the scene. And I'm in we're in this truck. There's a camping truck that I had that I lived in, and he. So we're sitting there ready to see. I asked him, what was the largest check he ever got? And he goes, $5 million from Roseanne when we had our divorce.
Oh my God! Can you imagine?
$5 million
just to walk away. Yeah.
To walk away. I was like, you're a lucky son of a bitch. The other thing was that in the movie, I had an opportunity to do as much physical comedy. I mean, that was my approach. I'm going to do physical comedy. Every scene I do, I'm going to do something physical and something comic. Within the content, it wasn't like I was trying to pull the attention of me, but it was like reactive to whatever Tom was doing. And it was funny, and people were really enjoying it. It's like I set up a grill. In one scene, I was roasting hot dogs. And this is when Tom comes to reclaim his clothes because he had nothing to wear after he gave them all to me. And so he finds me in this park, but I'm grilling this hot dog with this long, what do they call these little, the fork thing where you lift up you turn them.
Oh, yeah, sure. I don't know, barbecue, tong. I don't remember. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Tong, yeah,
whatever.
So I had the beer, so I'm like, turning the hot dogs, and my beer was set down next to it, so I picked up the beer with the tongs, and I drank a little, put it down, and, silly little stuff like that they really love. And, and I had fun doing it, thinking up things. But Tom got really jealous of me because he thought I was stealing the scenes from him. And he tried to get physical with me in a way that was not very cool. Like, he's a big guy, and he's about 6'2", he weighs about 220, and he really hurt me.
Really?
And after he had, like, pushing me and slapping, like, within the scene, that it looked like it could have been part of the scene, but it was really a little... I knew it was too hard, so I went to Penelope and I said, what the fuck? You see what he's doing, man? Why are this ain't cool. And she goes, oh my, comedians. They're like, they always think somebody else is being funnier than they are.
Right.
And I thought, I'm not trying to be, I'm just trying to help the scenes along. And she just rolls her eyes, oh, comedians. And I was like, you going to do anything? You going to say anything? And she said, wow, Tom's producing the movie. So she never said anything. And to my regret, I let him keep doing it like 3 more times, and I just should have shut him down, threatened to quit or whatever. I didn't really care. The movie sucked. I was making some money, but It wasn't worth it to be abused like that. And it's funny, the only other guy that really abused me was Tom Arnold.
You mean James Belushi?
Huh?
James Belushi, you mean?
Say what?
You just said the only other guy was Tom Arnold, but you mean James Belushi? Jim Belushi?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Belushi.
Yeah.
What's his first name?
Jim or James? Jim or James?
Jim Belushi. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing a scene, just another terrible movie called...
well, that's like redundant. You're saying Jim Belushi and a bad movie is like...
Yeah, right? Right? But this was especially very bad. It was called Destiny Turns on the Radio, and it starred Quentin Tarantino as one of the actors in it. And, as good a filmmaker and as good a writer he is, that's how bad an actor he is.
Totally.
But, in his mind...
You're not helping me get him on the podcast, but what can I do?
Well, you could disagree with me and play it out. He was like, no, Edson, you're completely fucking wrong. He's a genius actor.
He's just above our heads.
You want to start over again? So
no, not at all. I'm only joking. No, not at all.
Defend his acting. But so we're doing a scene in a strip club, and I play a cop. And I'm going to ask Belushi for something, and it was kind of a little complicated scene in which we start close up on me and this other cop, not close up, but close, basically from behind us. And we're talking to Belushi in his office, and then the camera pushes in between us to a close-up of Jim, and we're supposed to curl around the camera and walk into the shot at the end. So I think it might have been even in the rehearsal or the first take. No, the first take.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up not, hesitating because I didn't really know where the mark was. I just hesitated just a bit, and then I found it. And then he bawled me out after the cut. And he bawled me out for fucking up the scene.
In front of everybody, right? In front of the crew. In
front of everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody knew he was completely out of line. It wasn't as personal as it was just demonstration of his general assholery.
Mm-hmm.
And, but still, I regret not having said anything, that it just seems better just to hold your tongue and not cause any kind of conflict. But I still should have. As to with Tom Arnold.
Well, Jim Belushi, he has
that's a long story, saying negative things about me. But I said a lot of positive things.
Yeah. And I think actually, like Arnold, he may have come around quite a bit because I think he's come down a few pegs. Tom Arnold.
What about him?
I think he's probably been cut down a few pegs. I think he may have come around a bit. You never know. Some of these guys are assholes, but they end up like kind of becoming a little bit more human again.
Humble. Human.
Humble. Exactly. I don't know if that's the case though. I'm just trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. Well.
The last thing, is
No. We got something else to talk about.
Please.
That's very important that you may not have known about or...
Well, you also work with Charlie Sheen, so there a couple of times.
A couple of times, yeah. But I want to get away from all this Hollywood crap.
Oh, sure.
For me to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I was about to, actually, but go ahead.
But I really got disillusioned after I did Super Mario Brothers. Because it was such a huge production, and it was so much trouble, and there was so much power struggles, and I had the dubious pleasure of working with Dennis Hopper, and I loved Bob Hoskins, fantastic guy, serious, funny. He was great. Everybody was great in that movie. I mean, as persons and the way we did it. But, I made more money on that movie than I made on any other movie, and it's just such a lousy experience and such a bad indication of what I had got myself into.
Yeah.
Even though I could try to do a little physical comedy in it, I did one thing where I walk into a plate of glasses, two workers walking out of a store with a plate of glass, and I run into my head, and I was so proud of the way I did that because it was 3 feet away, and they shot it from an angle that didn't look 3 feet away, so I had to pantomime the entire thing. Hitting on the head, my reaction, my stumbling. I was so proud of myself for doing that as well as I did. I was like, man, that's worthy of great silent film comedy. But I thought, okay, people are going to see that. I'm going to get some more work. But from that point on, and it was such a disaster, and it really ruined Samantha Mathis's career.
She
never really worked in any. She was a rising star at that
Oh my God! And she's so lovely. She had done and she had done.
Wait, I'm losing you.
I'm sorry, I'm right here. She had done with Christian Slater. She'd done the Samantha Mathis.
Yeah, that's what she did after. She did that one about country music.
No, I was thinking of what was the name of that movie? She did quite a few big Hollywood films. You're right, and then she just fell off the face of the earth, right? Pump Up the Volume.
Yeah. Oh, but that she did that before.
Yeah.
And then she was like, I think she did one thing after, and this was her big Hollywood introduction, and it was also John Leguizamo's first movie.
Yeah. Who I saw off Broadway when he did his one-man show right before. I said, that guy is going to break. You could tell from watching his show he was going to be a star. Just he had that kind of charisma and talent. You know? And I thought she was. Go ahead.
I always thought that what he did on stage never really translated as well to film. I mean, he's a good film performer, but he's a genius stage performer.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
In my humble estimation. You agree with me?
I completely. I think that's very accurate.
So anyway, that was 94. This is after Shannon's deal where I got introduced to the whole television world, and then, you know, I think I did a couple things between that, and then I got into Super Mario Brothers, and it was so disheartening after that. And then all the work I got after that, there was nothing that I could really do anything with as an actor. So I just felt myself getting into this box of just showing up and doing, you know, not...
Yeah. In other words, phoning it in.
To it.
Right.
Huh?
Phoning it in.
Kind of, no, I would always be serious about what I was doing as an actor. But I couldn't relate to the largest picture. And I couldn't really identify with what we would do, the end product. I could identify with the process, what I had to do when I took that seriously. But that was it. And, you know, I kept doing these shitty movies and not really interesting roles, and I was really fed up, and I didn't really know what to do because I had committed, 15 years, and I kind of hoped that once I reached a certain position, then I'd be able to define what and who I wanted to work with. But I didn't really think of the implications of how I'd been forced into becoming the sort of actor that I never intended to, and the way that I saw acting was so different than what I was seeing around me that it was kind of a time in which I really despaired of being an actor and being in the film business, but I still kept at it because I was hoping for something that would let me start working with other people and doing another kind of acting, although I really couldn't define it at the time. Now I can. But, so at that time I met this young French filmmaker named Raphael Najari. And we did 3 movies. He was a French guy, and we did 3 movies together in New York. And they were all very serious kind of movies, which I tried to talk him out of, but I don't know, he's a serious guy, and we didn't do it, but they were a lot of improvisation in terms of before we did a scene, we would get together and, like 99, 2000, 2001, and 98, 2000, 2001. Very serious films, and we would improvise the scenes before we shot them, and I was saying that I'm comfortable with that, but other actors are not very comfortable with that at all. And but they were very, dialogue was the least important thing. And it's interesting, if you treat dialogue as more of a expression of character than as a storytelling device, not an expression of character within the dynamic of a certain scene. So in a way, it doesn't matter what you say as much as how you say it and how that expresses the character's relationship to each other. So we found, we didn't have to think too hard about what we were actually saying, but about what it meant in terms of the relationships and how it was like another physical aspect of acting instead of a verbal aspect. I don't know if that makes sense.
It sounds like it's more about your intention behind the language
Exactly. And you can read that through the face and through the body language and through gestures. And so those three films, and the first one, they got into Cannes Film Festival. Second one was in the Berlin Film Festival. Third one was in the Cannes Festival. And it did pretty well in Europe. Yeah.
It's just too bad you couldn't get into any halfway decent festivals, huh?
Yeah, right. But they tried to sell them at those festivals to the American independent companies at that time, distributors, but none of them wanted it. And I think it was because they were, they were too serious. I'm not sure why. They were very good. And of all the films I did since Stranger in Paradise, they're the ones that I'm most proud of, even though there's almost no humor in them. But each one I played a completely different character with a completely different way of walking and talking and being. I'm really proud of what I did in them. But since they couldn't get an American distributor, they just gave up on America completely and never entered them in any festivals. And this is 2001 and 2002, and it was like nobody saw what I did. I mean, in Europe they did, but nobody in America saw what I did. None of my friends, none of my family. It was never in the theaters. It was not a element within the film universe.
What was it? Good.
What was the name of them?
What was the name of the filmmaker? Raphael what?
Najari.
Okay.
N-A-J, Najari.
Got it.
N-A-J-A-R-I? No, there's a D in it. N-A-J-D-A-R-I.
Okay.
But you look it up. There's 3 movies called The Shade. I Am Josh Polanski's Brother, and Apartment 5C. And it's just a shame nobody saw him. And at that point, I kind of gave up. It's like, here's the best things I did. Nobody ever saw him. I come back to fucking Hollywood, and I get offered, I have to audition for a job in a dumb sitcom as the janitor in a building that has 2 lines. And at that point, I just gave up. I just said, fuck it, I don't care. Nobody seems to care about me. I have to go back to what originally sustained me and interested me, which was writing and music and photography. And that's basically, even though I work every now and then, that's basically what my interest is, and I really don't care about acting because there's no demand to do the kind of acting I want to do.
Mm-hmm. But you did make a little bit, been a while already, but I noticed you were in Mama's Man.
Oh, yeah.
Ozza Jacobs was a camper in the summer camp that I used to work at. So we were friends.
Say what?
He the filmmaker, Azazel Jacobs, we went to the summer camp together, and he was like, he's a little younger, but we went to summer camp together. So we're sort of friendly.
Oh, okay.
Now that he's a big HBO, he's in a big he has a series on HBO.
Okay, don't ask me about that movie.
Okay. Easier said than done. Or done.
Don't ask me this. No, that was very instrumental in part of the reason. I don't know. You can ask me that. I don't give a fuck. You brought it up. I knew. What's his name?
The filmmaker?
Yeah.
Ozza?
Ozza. Yeah. Which is strange enough. It's short for Ozabel, which is one of the names of Satan.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? That's true.
Oh, wait, no, you're right. Azazel, was that yeah. So his parents had a sense of humor.
Yeah. You know who his father is? He's a famous experimental filmmaker of this generation.
Oh, Ken Jacobs.
Brackage.
Yeah. Ken Jacobs?
Ken Jacobs.
Yes.
Ken Jacobs.
That's right, I forgot. Yes, Ken Jacobs.
Who did the movie? Who
did
the mom of the...
Right.
So,
his parents
at that point I was...
play his parents. Huh? His parents play his parents in that.
Yeah.
Or his parents play... Yeah, his parents, and then he has...
His parents play the parents.
Right, and it's... I don't remember the actor anymore, but he goes back, and his wife is back up in Boston with or just had a baby or something, or just about to have a baby, and he's like decides to hibernate and escape and not come out of the
right, and kind of become an infant again or something.
Yeah, and to be taken care of by his parents again because of his fear of growing up. Yeah, it's a very emotional movie. I think it works. But go ahead.
But at that point, I'm like, I don't know when that was. You have your IMDb open?
Yeah, that was 2008.
2008?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, 2008? Are you kidding?
Well, they probably shot it 2000 and maybe 6. Maybe he was shooting. It.
Yeah, that makes sense. So this is after I did those 3 movies that were so disappointed or heartbreaking, and that nobody ever saw them. And I'm like, no, I really want to work with people who kind of get what I want to do and are much more independent in spirit than the Hollywood stuff. And
Ozzy,
he asked me to be in the movie, and we were kind of friends at that point, and he really, he always like, oh, you're so great, and then, he offers me this like 1 scene role, and it's all dialogue, and I had to say yes because he kept bugging me. It's like I can't. Oh, after a while.
It's our summer camp.
And,
Sorry.
But I'll tell you, this has been a lot more enjoyable than that.
Oh.
And I just felt, I was back in the box, and that I was just being used as much more of a little name thing that he could attach to the movie, but not really given anything to do that I wanted to do.
I see.
And I think that was one of the another instrumental things. Here's an independent filmmaker who I really like as a person, and who's pretty good as a filmmaker, but he won't even give me an opportunity to do something significant.
Right.
I'm not talking about a lead, but at least something.
I have a theory though about where he's coming from.
Okay.
And this is it, because I think that might have been his second feature. In fact, it was his second feature, and I don't think anybody saw the first one. But my theory,
first one was good.
Yeah,
I liked the first one.
But he's still really unknown as a filmmaker, and I think probably he was just so. This is just guesswork. I could be completely off base here, but he could just wanted you in it and really didn't have the understanding that this was not going to be a fulfilling experience for you. Maybe he wanted something you in anything, not realizing that it was going to be very unfulfilling for you, an experience. But, for him, it could have been like, well, I only have this thing, but can you please do it? It's almost like a cameo,
Well, you can never underestimate the egomania of
a Hollywood right, or of a Hollywood star like yourself, yeah.
Yeah. So, to be worried, thinking just for himself is not unusual.
True.
Anyway, that was another kind of
disappointment,
depressing incident. It kind of hits you later. Why did I ever come out to Hollywood in the first place?
Well, we want your. Well, I don't know. I want you to be happy and feel good and have a restored sense of optimism, of course. Because I'm sort of that kind of person. But you mentioned maybe before, very, 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 almost as an aside, that you may consider coming back to New York City. I don't know if that's still something you're really thinking about doing.
Yeah. By the way, you know anybody who is renting an apartment?
Well, Richard Sandler is moving out of his to move upstate.
Oh, there you go.
Would you have to live in Manhattan, or could you actually now live in like I don't know, probably still the best idea, right?
Anywhere but Williamsburg.
Gotcha.
The place I really want to live is in Fort Greene.
It's a beautiful spot.
I was staying there for a music video I did, and man, it was so cool. It was so diverse, and people. New York.
No, believe me, I was in an interracial marriage, and we lived there. I too. It's like every other couple seemed to be an interracial couple that lived in that neighborhood. And, of course, Spike has his production office there. His production...
Oh, yeah, it was Fort Greene.
No, he's still there. Still there.
There you go. He probably bought the building, and now it's worth a fortune.
Oh, well, yeah, I know he owns the building, but he lives in, Upper East Side, but where he probably owns where he owns that building, too. But he owns his production company still in Fort Greene.
Yeah, you didn't ask me about Spike. But, what have we been... We've been talking, like, for an hour and a half.
No, more than that, my friend.
More than that?
It's fine.
I told you I'm good.
You are good.
I just have to be in the right mood. The other day you talked to me, I hadn't slept that night. I was in such a rotten mood, and my voice changes when I don't sleep.
Sure.
So I was like, and the idea of doing this was so, at that moment, it was so horrible that's why I just ignored your phone call. No, I didn't even know you were calling. I just forgot about it, to tell you the truth. But,
well, forgetting about it's a lot better than ignoring.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Well, maybe I did ignore it, but I couldn't admit it. But I mean, if you want to keep talking, I'm good. I got nothing to do this. Well, I have things to do, but no appointments. I could keep talking whether you want it or not. I mean, whether you want to.
Well,
I think we covered a lot.
We did definitely covered a lot. I mean, you're right. I mean, the Spike Lee thing, I guess I didn't really get into. But, it's interesting. He's like one of those guys. I guess I just didn't really... I originally really wanted him on the podcast because, actually John Sale, as I mentioned, had quite a few of these folks, on the podcast. But I haven't really pushed for him too much because I tried a few times early on and couldn't get anywhere with it. And then I started to rethink. I'm like, he's so temperamental, or maybe that's not the right word, but he can be a very challenging interview. And if it doesn't click, it's a disaster. So... I don't know.
You talking about Spike?
Yeah. So it's like I just backed off of it. Pursuing getting him to do it, even if he would do it.
You might get him on a good day, and he'll give you more than... you might get lucky.
That's right. But
you seem like a person, you're doing this, you just have to be persistent, and,
that's
can't be a shy guy.
Right. Well, it's also getting through to people. Right.
Which you had to... I know how difficult it was to get through my people.
Yeah. You're your people, so you're the hardest one. Well, we could maybe do this. Maybe if you move east, and I'll try to be your East Coast contact person for trying to help broker some sort of apartment or something. I'll try. I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have your share of friends. I'm sure you have your share of friends in New York City, though.
Yeah. No. I burned every bridge I have. No, I do. But yeah, I'm just looking because my building out here just got sold, and I live in this beautiful old factory building with just raw space, like old school New York loft, and downtown LA is developing like crazy, and they just bought it, and they want to get us out of here and get lawyers, so we don't know what's going to happen. And I'm ready to leave LA anyway, so I'm not sure if New York, if something great comes up, I definitely move to, get a place in New York.
Could you see yourself living anywhere else?
Huh?
Could you see yourself living anywhere else?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, anywhere else. Like, I was thinking maybe I'm going to go, I have 150,000 miles on my American Airlines, which would give me enough to go business class around the world. So I was thinking maybe I'll go the other way, east, where I just keep going west. I go to Japan, Vietnam, Cambodia, Sri Lanka, Turkey. I'm not sure what countries in Europe, but maybe Morocco,
well,
Egypt, Morocco, and then go hit maybe one of the southern African, more black Africans where they more musical, and then go to New York, like spend 6 weeks going around the world and get to New York.
Oh, I see.
That may be.
That's a great idea. If you need someone to carry your bags around, let me know. I'm available.
Oh, my bags?
Yeah, just carry your bags.
How much mileage do you have?
None. I had to scrounge around just to get myself to South by Southwest in a couple weeks. I have to go to.
Well, go around the world if you don't have any of that from business class. Yeah, I don't know how much that would cost. That would cost a lot of money.
Yeah, but there's no. Yeah, a lot.
But the good thing about business class is that you could stop anywhere and do anything for any amount of time, and then come back at any time and then rebook your flight. When if you're doing coach, you can't do that. You have to set up an itinerary and stick to it.
Right. Well, it sounds like a fantastic idea. When are you going to do it if you don't do it?
If I do, maybe start December 1st, because I think that's when they want us out of here.
Oh, next December?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if my mother would like it, but...
your mom still... Is mom still around?
Yeah, she needs some... Yeah, she needs... she's still alive. She's like 91. And,
she's in Long Island? Oh, no. Westchester.
New Rochelle.
Right. Well, I'll check in on her.
This stuff, you're gonna put this stuff in the...
Yeah. Unless you have an objection. Okay. Unless you have an objection. Yeah. Why not?
No, okay.
Yeah, this is what people want to... They want to know.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That around the world thing, I'm not kidding. That might be amazing. And
I think you could do some really amazing, maybe shoot some stuff. Unless you just want to have a completely analog experience and just be completely off the grid in that way. But you could also shoot some.
No, I would definitely shoot stuff. Both like film type stuff and still.
So I can carry the boom mic.
There you go.
The hell with the luggage.
I gotta say, I got this little Zoom microphone for $100 that you just stick on top of your. Well, I got 5D, so I just stick that on top of it, and I got all the sound I need.
Like a shotgun mic.
No, it's just it's a little shotgun stereo shotgun mic, little one, but it's amazing. I mean, the sound reproduction, it's kind of cheaply made, but it's pretty amazing.
Well, what I can do, like I do occasionally, I do a bunch of screenings and stuff like that over here. So maybe when you get all your footage together, we'll do something. Like I've done a couple things with Charlie Ahern, and I've been around a while. Even Tom Tichillo, he has a new experimental film he just made, and I hooked him up with a distributor.
Don't ask me about Tom Tichillo.
Okay. I'm good like that. I know what's going on.
No, I'm not.
I didn't bring up John Lurie. I didn't bring up John. But I wanted. You said you had a good story about him. John?
Yeah, you said trying to get him on the show.
Well, yeah, no, I tweet. He's on Twitter, so we tweeted back and forth a bunch because I just saw him. He's kind of known for his tweets, and so I tweeted him directly, and then he got back to me immediately, and went back and forth, and then he said, he's not going to talk about certain things and certain people, and then he said he would do a Skype just to kind of figure who I am. We got on Skype. It had to be about 8 or 9 months ago. We had a very nice.
He asked you about who?
He didn't ask me about anybody other than me. I mean, or he was just was kind of he was just talking. We were just chatting, But he's a bit peculiar. But I don't really feel that way. But I feel like people would sense that he's peculiar. But I know, who I'm talking with. I'm saying, and in my world, I'm used to people that live complicated lives, so I don't judge him in any way. And so we had this conversation, and then we emailed, and so I don't know, but there's a lot of stuff that's off the table that he will not talk about,
What stuff?
They're just certain people, like Jim and Tom Waits, and certain people you just won't talk about them in a public way. But he told me off the record. He didn't say anything ill of you, but, it's like... He's just got a lot on his mind. And the thing for me is, it's just as well, because then I would feel almost compelled, like, well, now I got to check with, I got to, what am I going to do?
I understand you really don't want to, air the dirty laundry that much. I mean, a couple little stories like the Tom Arnold and Jim Belushi because it really has to do with work and less to do with personal relationships and stuff that happened off the set. And I think, he had a lot of trouble with Jim and credit, and I didn't know he had trouble with Tom, but, John's a particular guy. And did I say he's a egomaniac? No, I didn't say that. And
no.
I would never say that. That's the Donald Trump thing, right? I would never call him an egomaniac. Never. He is one, but I would never call him one.
Gotcha.
How Trump gets away with some of this shit is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That's another discussion, right?
Yeah, it's in my other podcast, which is talking about candidates.
We'll talk politics. I can go on about that, too.
I'm sure.
I mean, more than just electoral politics. More interesting stuff. Can I ask, I would love... I'm going to send you my experimental films, and now I'm going to send you that little short I did that I like to think is as close to a silent film as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love it if you would get it to those people you say, your friends, what's the name guy did in the Pines?
Derek and Shannon.
Eric and his wife. Yeah.
Sure, I'll do that.
He is one. Even though I stood you up.
Well, you didn't ultimately, so it doesn't really.
Yeah, but I mean,
history will show otherwise. But go ahead.
Yeah, but I kind of made it up for it, right?
More than made up for it.
There you go. So, please send it over. I hope you like them yourself, and I'll give you some idea of what I like to do and like how I like to approach things, both in terms of filmmaking and in terms of an artistic aesthetic or practice. But please, that would be great, and even just as a film, but there are very few people I want to work with, and he was like, I told my agent, it's like, that's that guy and the Danish guy. He's the only two people I know who's doing that type of filmmaking.
Right, and they both work with Ryan Gosling, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Nicholas Winding or Vinding Refn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's incredible. I'm a fan of his films. Also, even just before Drive, I mean, those Pusher film the trilogy he did was real disturbing, right? Pusher.
Yeah, I see that. I know people rave about it. I mean, he's a pretty dark guy. I mean,
no, totally. Yeah, and he did it's a trilogy. He did Pusher, then With Blood on My Hands, and then on the Angel of Death. They're really. I mean, and I made the mistake once of watching the back to back one day, and it was just I wanted to slip my wrists by the end of it. It was just so dark. But I will definitely get them to those guys. Of course. I mean, I haven't been in touch with them since my kid switched out of the same school. But, I have their contact information, and we have a little bit of a history. So it would be easy for me to pass along your work and introduce you to Derek. I have his email, and I'll be happy to make the introduction.
I would appreciate that muchly.
You got it.
Greatly.
Got it.
Yeah, cool. Okay, is there anything else?
Well, we'll just we'll stay in touch sometime, and certainly when I edit this together, which may be looking like 2 episodes, but I think my audience isn't huge. I get a couple of, maybe 1,000 or 2,000. I don't know.
What? Only 2,000? Yeah, I thought this was going out to 200,000 people. I would have never given you all this time.
There you go. Well, I have thousands of people who listen, but not to every single episode. But anyway. Why was I talking about that? So I think though for the majority do like the longer format. So I don't know, or I could break it into 2 episodes. I'm sort of what's his name? I'm saying what's his name? Like Tom Noonan, like he's obscure. But Tom Noonan, right?
Yeah.
So he I had to, like, I was over there and we did an episode recently, just a few weeks ago, and after like an hour plus, I had to leave myself. I had to go get my kid, and so I had to. But he was open to continuing to talk, so I felt terrible because he has so many great stories, and he's very open, about it, and. So he did promise me a part 2, and so we kind of focus, on so we can, because we talked a lot about his early years, but we didn't get into quite so recent stuff. So, but he's another one of these guys, these journeymen. I like having on the show, like you, and just people that have a real. So thank you very much.
Well, I mean, just one other thing.
Sure.
I think this is kind of interesting from a career and from a actor's point of view, is that because I came at it from such a different direction, that I never really could identify myself as an actor. It was something I could do, something I was making a living at, but I think also that I was getting further and further away from the style of acting that I didn't even know I was so good at, or what I wanted to do. It was more like a subconscious thing that I could never really identify as an actor. Mm-hmm. And I would rather have identified as a writer, musician, or photographer. I mean, that's what I did identify with, and I had some professional success at either of those without really pushing them. But I think most actors that I know don't have those other areas in which they feel more as compelled to go there, or more compelled to go there, or identify with. And most of them, like a Tom Noonan, I think, or most of the actors I've ever worked with, may have another little artistic outlet that they'll participate in, but it's not that important, and that what they're really driven to and what they're really driven by is acting itself, and they totally identify as that. And I think Tom Noonan is an example of that. And I think it's great that is what really drives them, but it's not me. So
yeah.
If you identify me as an actor, fine. But
no. But I understand. No, but you're either way, you're an actor. I mean, it's just because you've acted so long. Right. But I understand as far as the way you identify yourself. I understand. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Well, I'll take you. To me, it doesn't matter. I mean, to me, I'm just
having an identity crisis every morning.
I have my own too. I do.
There you go.
I get it.
There you go.
But however you define yourself, is, first of all, it's fine. Fine by me, and it doesn't change to me who I'm talking with. So.
Yeah, and I have enough background that we could talk. But let me ask you this: with the other people, I mean, I was very. And I suspect other actors would be like this, but what I really talked about were the interrelationships, or the relationships, and the process of making the film, more than the film itself or the story. Mm-hmm. I didn't talk about the story of any of those movies. But did you find that to be true generally of the people, of the actors you talked to, someone like Tom, or that it was more about the total picture of the film than about just that particular element of the relationships and the process?
It's an interesting question, actually, because I don't know that I've pointedly asked that specific a question, what about their, or you mean in terms of their contribution to a film? Like if they're part of something?
Now that I think about it, I don't know what one I'm asking.
Well, it sounds like one thing that you're it makes me think about is, as an actor, are you like, is it about you in the scenes you're in, or in the scene you're in, or whatever, or the moments you're in, or is it about what you're contributing to the film and the larger film, And
you mean you as a character, or you as a
whatever you're, as a character in the film, like, I mean, that's also a big part of like a Hollywood movie. It's usually a vehicle for stars, so it's not even so much of a conversation. But in a lot of, let's say, character films, it can be interesting because you could have a big ego, but where they're thinking about themselves and their roles and how, and they're not really as concerned with the overall, how they're contributing to the overall picture, which is maybe putting the film first in a way. But
of people like that.
No, sure. Or are you getting at, like, if you don't identify yourself as an actor, so you're at first and foremost, like, you're like maybe just an artist type or something that's acting. Whereas a Tom Noonan, I'm sure, identifies as an actor more than almost anything else. I mean,
yeah. That's what I meant, and I think it really can sustain people through the ups and downs a lot more than it sustained me, because it's the most important thing in their life or their professional life, to their identity as an actor. And I think what happened with me, it just took me further and further away from the things that I really wanted to do and accomplish.
Your essence.
And it wasn't until the last 10 years, and once I got back into those things, that I started fulfilling that thing. And I think, interestingly enough, I might not have been able to do that in New York. And that I needed the sense of kind of isolation here in L.A. Living downtown at the time when downtown was not downtown, that I could actually do that.
Right.
And, I'm just finishing this novel that I've been working on for 6 years. And it has nothing to do with film business. It's not a memoir. It doesn't have to do with me. So it's a real story, a ghost story. So, and it's been so much more fulfilling than 20 years of working in the film business, besides Saint in Paradise and the 3 movies I did with Raphael. I mean, working on those other movies was satisfying, but not in terms of my particular aesthetic.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing all that stuff, both the personal and the professional. I mean, it really I think this came out really special, actually.
Cool.
And I had a sense it would, but it came out really, I think it's going to be spectacular. I really do.
Oh, cool. Let me know. I probably won't listen to it, but let me know anyway.
Well, you already you lived it. Why do you don't need to relive it?
What'd you say?
I said you lived it, so you don't have to relive it necessarily.
I look good?
No, yes, you do. You do look good.
I look really good on this podcast. Right?
You're going to look, yes. But I said you lived it, so you don't necessarily have to relive it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. I got to head into Manhattan, to Little Italy, maybe not far from where you used to live. So I'm sorry to cut this short.
I know. Yeah, we hardly got started here.
Well, if I need something, I'll call you back.
Okay, cool. Yeah. No, this was fun. I knew it would be if I was in a decent mood.
Right.
I don't know, it's just fun to do this sort of thing. But, if you could you just email me or text me your email so I know where...
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. And we'll definitely hook up you and the Sea in France Plum people.
Yeah, let me know what you think. I'm going to send the 7 little experimental films.
Oh, perfect.
20 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah, and then I'll send the narrative one that got rejected from all those studios. I'm so sad. Not really.
I want to see those Raphael movies too. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how, but yeah,
I don't know how you can get them.
Yeah, well,
I know you can buy them on the internet, but I mean, not yet. You can buy them, but in fact, I have to buy one.
All right, well, we'll see. I might be willing to.
Yeah, I'd love people to see those movies, but maybe someday, once I become a famous writer or musician or photographer.
Well, let me know how I can help you with that.
All right.
All right, man.
I appreciate your appreciation.
Thank you. It was great talking to you.
All
Thanks.
right.
All right.
See you later.
All right. Be in touch.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.